What's good, y'all? What's the numbers TV? It's your boy Poe Rowe. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already, and like a video if you appreciate the content that Poe Rowe and What's the Numbers I provided. Today we back with another profile piece. This one is on Big Meech. In this video we're going to talk about his younger years growing up in Detroit, Michigan. Then we will discuss he and his brother's close relationship, their love for music, and their entry into the drug game at a young age. Next, we will look at the circumstances surrounding Big Meech's move to Atlanta, where he will leave his mark on the city's party and club scene, all while taking his drug and music business to the next level. And lastly, we will break down the details of the case that currently has Big Meech serving a 30-year prison sentence. Demetrius Flannery, better known as Big Meech, is from Southwest Detroit. He would grow up in a two-parent household and had a good relationship with both his mother and father. By the time Meech hit his teenage years, Detroit had become the epicenter for young drug crews. Drug organizations like YBI, which is short for Young Boys Incorporated, and the Curry Brothers were controlling large sections of the city in the 80s before going to jail. Meech and his younger brother Terry Flannery, better known as Southwest T, would get into the drug game during their teenage years, and once the many car plants in Detroit started to close in 1987, the city would take a turn for the worse economically. As the car companies left, Detroit's crime and poverty levels would rise, but the city's drug underworld would thrive. Meech and his brother, still in their teens, would start making a nice amount of money dealing drugs. The brothers always had a love for music and have been attending different concerts from artists like Aretha Franklin to LL Cool J, dating back to the early to mid 80s. Although Meech and his brother Southwest T were well liked and pretty popular, Detroit can still be a rough and cutthroat place sometimes, and both brothers would get shot on different occasions during their years of coming up in the city. As their hustle, money, and network grew, Meech and his brother would start meeting different cocaine plugs throughout the years, each one almost always bigger than the last. They would start to branch out to different cities and states like Texas, St. Louis, and Atlanta, meeting new customers everywhere they went. According to the feds, Meech and Southwest T were making over $1 million yearly in the streets since the 90s, but no one seen the movement that was building and would hit the streets of Atlanta in the early 2000s, just as the city was becoming the epicenter for the hip-hop industry. The brothers over the years would meet and become friends and associates with top industry execs, rappers, and athletes. Different names would be associated with the movement Meech and his brother were creating, but once they decided on the name BMF, the world would start to take notice. Already looked at as celebrities in Atlanta, BMF would be known to spend over $100,000 in the club on any given night. They drove some of the most expensive cars and lived in $1 million homes, and this was all a reflection of the flamboyant BMF leader Big Meech. At some point in the early 2000s, the brothers started to have personal issues that were affecting the business. Southwest T would end up moving his base of operations to LA to be closer to the plug, and Meech would stay on the East Coast, mainly Atlanta. In November of 2003, Puff Daddy's former bodyguard Anthony Wolf Jones would get killed in a crazy shootout outside a club in the Buckhead section of Atlanta. Big Meech and another BMF member would be shot in the altercation and afterwards arrested for the shooting. Eventually the charges would be dropped, but the heat was on, and Meech had to sit down for a little while over a probation violation. Even with all the heat on BMF, business was still booming. Meech, who for years had a love for music, was slowly getting his foot in the door when it came to the music industry. Along with having an artist of his own who went by the name Blue Da Vinci, Meech would also be very close to Young Jeezy and have a hand in pushing his career to the next level. At the time, Meech was known for throwing some crazy parties and vacation trips where he would fly out hundreds of people on his own dime, and that energy would just trickle down to whatever rapper was around at the time. In summer of 2005, Meech would get with Smack DVD and shoot some legendary scenes that would shape the culture for years to come. There were other crews before BMF to do it big and flaunt their money, cars, and jewelry, but never had we seen firsthand and living footage a crew where everybody was shining and able to enjoy the lifestyle that was available to them through Big Meech and the BMF family. The DVD would show them tearing up the streets and clubs of South Beach, Miami, while staying at a mansion where the driveway looked like a car show, filled with different BMF members' exotic cars. Meech would give a little speech at the end where he explained the principles and morals he installed in BMF and the reason they were successful. The Smack DVDs, who at the time had the streets in a frenzy, would take BMF from locally known to the talk of every inner city in a matter of weeks. From there, the plan to make the switch from the streets to the music industry was in motion. Basically a myth or legend to anyone outside of Atlanta who never came in contact with him, Big Meech would start being seen everywhere, from the Young Jeezy and Akon Soul Survivor video shoot to different DVDs and magazines. It was evident that he was taking the steps to be the next mogul from the streets, to make it big like Cash Money CEO Birdman. Now, while BMF is getting all its attention from the music industry in the summer of 2005, their drug business is still bringing in millions of dollars monthly. Southwest T would start making some calls during this time to some relatives without knowing his phone was tapped by the feds. In the convo, they would hear T talk about Meech's flashiness and how it was bringing unnecessary attention to him, his brother, and the rest of BMF. Over the next few months, they would listen to plenty of convos where T would talk about things like buying a Bentley, buying some Laker tickets in cash, and eventually doubling down and expressing his distaste for the way his brother was moving at the time. Meech, on the other hand, was never caught talking crazy on the phone. For the most part, it looked like he was really trying to make the switch. But for some reason, his artist Lou Da Vinci could never get a serious buzz going for his music, even though he had an unlimited budget for videos, promo, and features. The BMF affiliated artist that the streets were in love with at the time was Young Jeezy, who I stated earlier had a close relationship with Meech. But Jeezy wasn't signed to Meech or BMF, so they were definitely a part of Jeezy's rise to stardom, but couldn't claim it as their own because Jeezy had his own CTE label he was signed to. The BMF rocket ship was taking off fast. It was only a matter of time before a big music company like a Def Jam or Atlantic Records would have offered Meech a label situation for BMF Entertainment, possibly giving him a legitimate way out of the streets. The feds knew this, and by the fall of 2005, they turned the heat all the way up on Meech and his BMF crew. Hearing that indictments were coming down, Meech, along with many other BMF members, got low, stopped going to clubs with some members even taking off and leaving town in an attempt to lay low from the authorities. And in October of 2005, the feds would swoop in when Meech and his brother, along with a bunch of other BMF members, were indicted in a massive case out of Detroit. More indictments will come in 2006 and 2007, locking up even more members of BMF. The brothers would sit up in the county jail for 2 years while the case played itself out in court, before pleading guilty in November 2007 and being sentenced to 30 years apiece in September 2008. Since then, Meech has been in the feds walking off the 30 years. His brother Southwest T, who had the same 30-year sentence, was released in May of 2020 to finish his time in house arrest because of the coronavirus pandemic. Big Meech, who asked the court to release him also, was denied and is still in jail doing his time. But yo, it's What's the Numbers TV. There's a quick profile piece on Big Meech. Now, before y'all get in the comments talking about, oh, you didn't put this in the story, you didn't put that in the story, listen, there's a reason 50 Cent is making a show on BMF and the brothers Meech and Southwest T on Stars. Is because their story is too deep to try to get everything in one video. You understand? But I was very in tune with this case when it was going down. I was young as hell, but I was in tune. I was trying to see what's going on. When BMF hit the scene, it was like mesmerizing some of the things they was doing. Not saying that it's, drugs, but they wasn't on video selling drugs. They was on video living, you know what I'm saying, doing it up. So I was in tune with a lot of this case, you understand what I'm saying, as far as like Meech and his brother not talking for a long time, to right before they was about to cop out, they had a conversation the first time in years, you understand, to Southwest T losing his, getting shot in the eye early on. He got the money, supposedly started a cab service. From that cab service is how they started learning about the trap compartments in the cars, which led to their whole transportation of how they were moving to work all around the states. You understand what I'm saying? Now, we know about Meech's party with the animals and all that. We know about the money that was found in a limousine years later, after like 8 years after the limo had got auctioned off. Somebody rode it around for 5-6 years. Somebody came back and gave some information, and they went back and traced the limo and found over close to $1 million or over $1 million in it. You understand what I'm saying? Now, we know about the story with Meech in New York at the Akon and Jeezy video shoot with Jay-Z and Meech, somebody, I think Meech had the Maybach, or both of them had a Maybach, or Jay was asking how he had the Maybach before him, something like that. But there's a Maybach story with Jay and Meech, you understand what I'm saying? There's a lot, the whole Jacob the Jeweler gang locked up with BMF. Now, the reason Jacob even got hot is because Southwest T was on his way to a video shoot with over $1 million in jewelry, got pulled over. He had to claim the jewelry somehow, show it was legal. So he had somebody who worked for Jacob claim the jewelry. I think it might have been the dude who was married, I don't know, but to Kim K, or like relative to him or something, I'm not exactly sure on that, but he worked for Jacob. He had got Jacob involved to like claim the jewelry as far as like it was legally bought and all that. And that's how Jacob went to jail. He didn't tell, but that's how he got pulled into it, for Southwest T getting pulled over with the jewelry. Now, a lot of the times, Southwest T gets overlooked because Meech was a lot more easier to deal with, they say. I don't know how true that is, but he's definitely an intelligent guy. You know what I'm saying? He was smart as hell. They say in Southwest T, he was a micromanager. You know what I'm saying? He was into the seeing everything from point A to point B, everything all the way through. Now, the situation that they say might have been the last straw between them is, I don't know how true this one is, but they say a top lieutenant of Meech. I don't know if it was J-Bo or not. Shout out to J-Bo, he's home now. Because supposedly Southwest T would cut his work, and they called that Moet. Meech was supposedly leave it untouched. They called that the Cristal. Now, supposedly, Southwest T was hitting Meech's clientele, which wanted the Cristal, and J-Bo or somebody of that caliber, that level, had some words with it over the situation about them giving them a wet when they supposed to be giving them the Cristal, and that's how the situation happened. I don't know if it turned physical or not, but that was one of the last straws that Meech and his brother before they really split up. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that last story is all the way true, but a lot of those, I'm in tune with a lot of things that's going on. So these are all stories that I'm sure will be in the story, in the show. So like I said, if I would have put them in this, I would have been here all day, even though I'm here at the end giving y'all all these stories. But that's just to let y'all know that I'm in tune with this whole situation. Also, this is the 2-year anniversary, so What's the Numbers TV. So it's only right we dropped the Big Meech profile piece, the greatest of all time. So we out of here, man. It's What's the Numbers TV. It's your boy Po Ro. 45K subs, all organic. No interviews with nobody. Then again, no interviews with nobody. I ain't do no interviews with nobody. Shout out to everybody that do. But this is all organic before we give it to the streets or we give it to the YouTube game. So shout out to What's the Numbers TV and shout out to y'all for following. 2 years anniversary, What's the Numbers TV. We only going up from here. We out of here. Peace.